I'm gonna allow you to respond. I'm setting this up because it looks unseemly that essentially you are taking Venezuelan oil money and sending it through a network of campaign donors, corrupt politicians, and lobbyists, and we can't get any documentation on that. We don't have any receipts. So the question is anyone from the administration, directly or indirectly, benefiting from the contracts being doled?
Congresswoman Sydney Kamlager-Dove accused Secretary Marco Rubio of overseeing a secretive network tied to Venezuela's oil money, and before Rubio could fully respond, she repeatedly reclaimed her time. But after she walked away, Rubio had one sarcastic remark that left the hearing room laughing. Here's what happened.
Thank you, Secretary Rubio. Representative Kamlager-Dove.
So, Mr. Secretary, 5 months ago, you essentially became the new overlord of Venezuela, taking control of the country's oil revenues and giving foreign companies access to its oil and minerals. But you have provided no real transparency about where the money is going and who is benefiting from this arrangement. I want to now talk a little bit about Mauricio Claver-Carone. So, Mr. Secretary, you've known Mr. Claver-Carone for many years, correct?
I don't know how many years, but sure.
Okay. We know that he was special envoy to Latin America. He's also a former lobbyist who supported your presidential campaign, I think in 2016. And now he runs a private equity firm that is seeking $1 billion in investments in Latin America. Apparently, he is seen as your right-hand man on Venezuela, but he's not a federal employee, and he's not bound by rules about financial disclosures or conflict of interest. According to the Washington Post, he acts like a kingmaker in Venezuela, helping to determine which private companies get contracts and access. And that's concerning because in January, you gave confidential licenses for Venezuelan oil to a company that had been charged with bribery by the Department of Justice and employs a trader who gave $6 million to Trump's campaign. Some have said that Mauricio is the Jared Kushner of Latin America, but Mauricio has said that Jared Kushner is the Mauricio of the Middle East. So who is Mauricio, and why is he riding on private jets to Caracas with executives from firms trying to get contracts? And why is he texting Delcy Rodriguez on the regular? Who is he working for?
Okay.
I'm gonna allow you to respond. I'm setting this up because it looks unseemly that essentially you are taking Venezuelan oil money and sending it through a network of campaign donors, corrupt politicians, and lobbyists, and we can't get any documentation on that. We don't have any receipts. So the question is anyone from the administration, directly or indirectly, benefiting from the contracts being doled out in Venezuela?
Is this where I get to answer?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Number one is the number of people. Mauricio is one of many people that are involved in what's happening in Venezuela. There's not a day that goes by that we don't have someone who's interested in what's happening in Venezuela for a variety of reasons. Nor is he the only person in the United States that directly contacts Delcy Rodriguez and others. There is a stampede of people that want to be involved in Venezuela. Mauricio is one of many, but by the way, not involved in Venezuela. I am not knowledgeable or know of any financial links he has to anybody in Venezuela.
So I'm going to reclaim my time, Mr. Secretary, but I'm glad that you said that. Because you have said these things, you have shared these talking points before.
They're not talking points, they're the truth.
But it is hard to take your word for it when this is the most corrupt administration in American history.
Well, that's
we're
your
talking
opinion.
Pardons for sale, we're talking about no-bid contracts to those on Trump's family and friends plan, we're talking about a $1.8 billion slush fund. And I think that's corruption. The American people think that's corruption. They want to know if you think that's corruption.
Okay. Number two, this goes right to the point of transparency. You're absolutely wrong about the way the money flows. It's pretty straightforward, and I'll share.
So I'm going to have to reclaim my time again because
well, then,
the
what kind of process is this? They get to ask questions and you don't get to answer?
It's my time. The question
I don't know
about
about you. When is
corruption
it my
is really
time?
important.
So why am I here if I don't get to answer your questions or your defamatory statements?
I'm reclaiming my time, Mr.
I want
Chair.
you to, but I want to reclaim. Well, do I get time? Because you make these defamatory statements and no one can talk here.
If you can't call out corruption in this country, then how can you call it out in another
Well, I can't say
country?
anything because you won't let me speak.
Question. It is about credibility. and your credibility meter is on empty right now. This
See,
oil.
these guys
who
just get to talk and I don't get to answer?
Who determines the barrels of oil that get sold? How
But you
many
won't let
of them?
me
At
answer your
what
question.
price
I have an
does it
answer
get
for your
sold?
question.
Where is it going?
Oh, I get it.
will
They
let
have to
you.
use their time for me to answer
The
your
onus
question.
is on you to prove
joke.
that there is no corruption happening.
Well, how do I
That
prove
is
it if
your
you don't let me talk?
responsibility as the Secretary of State. And you know what? Normally we would have access to that data. That's the
You do.
transparency.
You just don't know where to
But you're
look.
not showing us any receipt. Well, then show us.
But
Do
you
you
won't.
commit? Do you commit to coming back here with whoever the person is who is monitoring the sales of the oil? Bring them before this committee.
Can I
Show the
reclaim my
receipts.
time?
Have the documentation. You don't have this time yet. I'm talking about your credibility and evidence, not your talking points, because talking points are never a replacement for transparency
I agree,
and
but that's what you're saying. You're saying talking points without an answer.
We are 5 months into this and no audits. Zero visibility into the
100%
contracts that are
false.
awarded.
100%
Zero
false.
Unfortunately,
transparency about where the
Representative's
money
time has
is
expired.
going.
Representative Salazar is recognized.
Yes.
And giving contracts with no transparency
Can I
is
borrow your
exactly
time
the
to
reason why
answer?
you shut down USAID. So practice what you preach. I yield my
Oh,
pass.
she gets to scream now too? Scream
Chairman,
and
can we
shout.
take down her words?
I'll give you some time. I'll give
Yeah.
you some of my time. Let me just
Okay.
just
But
change
God, what
the
kind of thing
energy.
is this? What is this? You get asked questions for 5 minutes and you don't get time to answer. It's not a hearing.
I think you said clown
Like
show
a dunk
before.
tank.
I
What
don't,
is
I don't
this?
have to tell you. I don't. I'll
I've
give
even
you
used
ti-
their time. How can I answer the question? They don't even give me time. I've had to use their time to answer your questions.
Yes.
All right, whatever.
All right, so I don't need to tell you that in my community, the city that I represent, the city of Miami, you're one of the most illustrious representatives, and that we're very proud of you, not only the Cuban Americans, but the Hispanic Americans in my
Why is she
community.
leaving? I'm
So
going to answer her questions.
I will.
Oh, okay, I got it. Well, thank you for coming.
All right, so we're going to talk about, I just want to give you time to answer and then talk about Venezuela and talk about Cuba. So let's go back to Venezuela. Let's start with that. You said that stabilization, recovery, and transition. Those are the three steps that the State Department was going to implement in Venezuela. I believe that transition is the free and fair elections. The Venezuelan has a very robust opposition forces. We have Maria Corina Machado. So
One of the most dramatic exchanges during this hearing unfolded when Representative Sydney Kamlager-Dove confronted Secretary of State Marco Rubio over the Trump administration's policy toward Venezuela. Rather than focusing only on foreign policy, the discussion quickly turned into accusations about transparency, conflicts of interest, and whether political insiders were benefiting from decisions involving Venezuelan oil. Kamlager-Dove argued that the administration had taken unprecedented control over Venezuela's oil revenues while providing little public information about how contracts were being awarded or who ultimately benefited. She centered much of her questioning on Mauricio Claver-Carone, a longtime Rubio ally and former Trump administration official, raising concerns about his influence despite not serving as a federal employee. She referenced media reports suggesting he played a significant role in discussions involving Venezuela and questioned why Congress had not received documentation showing how decisions were being made. The Congresswoman also raised broader concerns about accountability. She argued that Americans deserved greater transparency regarding contracts, financial arrangements, and whether politically connected individuals could benefit from government decisions. Throughout her remarks, she repeatedly emphasized that Congress had not been given what she described as the receipts needed to verify the administration's claims. Rubio firmly rejected the allegations. He stated that Claver-Carone was only one of many people interested in developments involving Venezuela and said he had no knowledge of any improper financial connections. Rubio also insisted that the movement of money related to Venezuela was straightforward and could be explained. However, the exchange became increasingly tense because Rubio struggled to finish many of his answers. Each time he attempted a detailed response, Kamlager-Dove reclaimed her time, arguing that she wanted direct answers rather than prepared talking points. Rubio responded with visible frustration, questioning why he had been invited to testify if he was not allowed sufficient time to answer accusations he considered defamatory. As the confrontation escalated, both sides began speaking over each other. Kamlager-Dove argued that credibility comes from transparency and documentation, not assurances from government officials. Rubio countered that he had answers ready but was repeatedly prevented from giving them. After Kamlager-Dove's time expired, she left the hearing room. At that point, another member offered Rubio additional time to respond to the issues she had raised. Seeing that she had already departed, Rubio joked, "Why is she leaving? I'm going to answer her questions," prompting laughter in the room before adding sarcastically, "Well, thank you for coming." That brief moment became one of the hearing's most memorable exchanges because it highlighted a common source of tension in congressional oversight hearings. Lawmakers often use their allotted time to ask questions and can reclaim it before witnesses fully respond. Supporters argue this prevents witnesses from avoiding difficult questions with lengthy answers. Critics argue it prevents meaningful dialogue and leaves important issues unresolved. The exchange ultimately reflected two competing perspectives. Kamlager-Dove maintained that the administration had failed to provide sufficient transparency regarding Venezuela-related decisions and possible conflicts of interest. Rubio denied those allegations and argued that he was not being given a fair opportunity to explain the administration's position. The hearing ended without either side persuading the other, but it delivered one of the day's most heated and widely discussed confrontations.